I will also say, Gravity Meowstic Mail is a surprise Mouska tool that'll help us for later.
All right.
Wait,
Uh, anyways, let's move on to our next Pokemon. This was actually a Pokemon that I was originally going to put in another video of Mons that we were scared of, that I was scared of, but Diego wants to use this thing a lot, so let's talk about it. Mega
Uh,
Frostlass.
I'm gonna I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I don't think you have to be that afraid of this thing.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, uh, obviously, I want. Okay, I think there's a lot of shortcomings with using Mega Frostlass in this format, but I want to talk about the strengths first
Yeah.
because Blizzard is crazy coming off of this mod. That is the one and only thing you want to be doing with this is spamming Blizzard. It hits so hard. It's really fast, and if you get set up right, it's really hard to slow down. The other thing is Shadow Ball, like being able to hit Ghost super effectively is pretty important in this format. Even if you get outsped by like Mega Gengar and by Bascullegion Legion most of the time. Again, if you're able to set up in the right position, it's good to be able to get rid of those big threats. This thing also gets some decent moves. You know, if you want to have it set itself up more, it gets Aurora Veil, obviously, it gets Icy Wind, but it also gets things like Disable. Yeah, Nasty Plot is probably the best way you can be running it. I saw a tweet from the Queen of Jank herself, Weedle Twineedle, who, oh, what did the tweet say? Hold on, let me pull it up actually. It said, who would have thought running Nasty Plot on an Ice type with 140 base special attack, spammable, no drawback spread move would be better than clicking a Royal Veil with your Mega Slot?
Yeah.
ah,
Uh, which I agree with, but I still think there's if you invested in bulk in this, you could have a very real Aurora, like self-setting Aurora Veil set because defenses aren't that bad. With the buff to Snow, giving
Right,
the
right.
1.5 defense increase to Ice types,
Yep.
like these stats are not bad to invest in bulk with. Which is something I would have liked to experiment with, but I'm not very good at calcing for things or coming up with sets like that. I just kind of like to do, max and try to make something work.
Well,
Speaking of just max maxing,
yeah.
sorry, what is it?
Yeah, I was gonna say to the point about Aurora Veil, right? Generally, you'll probably be pairing it on a snow team with a Ninetales Alola, and so you could just click Aurora Veil on Ninetales instead, right? And you just don't have it on here.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna try and get into. Actually, I should probably also mention this thing gets disabled on a really fast mon,
Yes.
like 120. You're speed tying with Sneasler unless
Yep.
they have Unburden and unless there's some other stuff going on. But it still outspeeds most of the format. There's a reason Sneasler's everywhere.
Yes.
Uh,
That
and
too. I will say I don't know if you want to be clicking Icy Wind necessarily with your Mega either, but that is also another. I think Icy Wind can be quite good on it because it is very fast. So if it can help support
stab.
some of those slower mons with Icy Wind with its speed a little bit, right? Like Ninetales Alola is pretty good with Icy Wind, but Froslass even faster with it. So
Yeah, like Froslass doesn't outspeed a lot of the fast megas,
yeah,
but against like the regular mons in the format, this thing is blitzing past them. The other thing I wanted to point out, I've seen people talk about Hex a little bit. Uh, there's probably something you could cook up there, but Weather Ball, it sounds interesting on paper because there's a lot of sun in the format. Uh, and rain is everywhere on teams, but it's not good. Don't do it.
yeah. I think the
Uh,
awkward thing about that is like if you're going against Sun, you're hitting what Charizard with Fire Weather Ball, right? Like that's not necessarily what you're trying to do.
Venusaur.
it
Same thing
was,
with like
yeah. I was trying to do it as anti Venusaur tech,
yeah, that's
just
interesting. You know?
in case I lost the weather war, but
Yeah.
it's not good. The other thing is honestly, this thing will win you the weather war most of the time.
Yeah.
Like depending on your partners, like having Ninetales as a second snow warning setter is really good. That's another thing that makes it a really good partner. But also, it is much easier to hold your Mega with Froslass than it is with other Megas. For things like Charizard, you want it Mega'd as soon as possible so that like your partners get their buffs, right? So like your Venusaur can outspeed everything so that your Typhlosion can hit everything immediately for 1,000,000 damage so that, your Charizard does what it does. With Froslass, it's really easy to like hold off on using your mega immediately, or with switching around, just because you're less reliant on your weather for damage. What you want it for is for the blizzards, for the defense buff, right? That makes it a lot easier to win that weather war. That is a big strength of using this mon, I will say, in such a weather-heavy format. Now, I want to talk a little bit about these other partners. Ninetales, obviously really good at seeing out a lot of play in snow. It has also real like kind of really good moves. It gets Encore as well, which isn't on this set, but it's something you can mess around with. It gets what else did I want to talk
Disable.
about?
It gets Disable.
Disable, yeah. Obviously, Icy Wind Aurora Veil. It gets Hypnosis, which that will come up again later. But this mod isn't bad. The only thing is, like, everyone's running steel coverage for Mega Floette.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that stuff more later, but I want to talk about some other potential partners. Much like having, like, there's a lot of Garchomp going around with, like, flying or levitate partners. I think Mammothswine is a little underrated. Because, yeah, it gets a higher single target ground type move and high horsepower. It hits similarly hard with Earthquake. And it gets Oblivious. Oblivious to stop Intimidate is pretty good. Now, I'm going to say I didn't try this mon out too much per side. I like that you're highlighting Snowcloak a lot. I was gonna
Bright Powder? Hey, Bright Powder Snowcloak? I'm just saying.
I was using that for one game with Ninetales, but I moved past that quickly. But yeah, next to a Levitate partner like the Rotom Frost now. Rotom Frost featured on a team. I think it was the Wolfie video. Like, well, both Wolfie and Cybertron made videos like featuring Mega Froslass teams. So if you want to see like a good team, go to those. The team I'm going to show isn't good, but I just wanted to talk about how like the strengths and weaknesses of this mod, because I think this mod's really good and interesting. But Rotom has a long history in VGC because, you know, it's really good. But Rotom Frost is like really good on this team specifically, and it hasn't been a good Rotom before. Just by the fact that it gets Blizzard, and again, that defense buff is really big. That also lets you invest more in Spadef, which a lot of the time you're missing that kind of bulk investment on Rotom because there's no AV in the game. We've talked about that, I feel like, every video, but there's no AV in this game, and that sucks. It's a really good item. And like this mon's supporting move pool is really good. This is one of the most historied mons. This is a war vet in VGC. You know, he's got his medals for a reason.
Yep. Now this last mon. I before we talk about this last mon, I just want to say originally I did have a Slush Rush on here. There's only one Slush Rush mod in the game, that is Beartic, but Diego said no, we are not talking about Beartic.
I'm not using that shit.
So we were talking about
I'm not using that shit. That shit is garbage. This is not good at all. I am. I'm going to. I'm hibernating. But this, I don't know if it's necessarily great with Mega Froslass. It probably is pretty good, honestly. But this is just a support mon I wanted to talk about in general because I've been using this on a Mega Floette team on the ladder recently, and it's really good. Now, you do have to change all your nicknames to use this mon, because when you send it out with Illusion, and if you don't change it, it will just tell your opponent it's Zoroark.
Does it actually, or does it only show that on your end?
Yeah. I actually don't know. I think it does. I'm not gonna try that. I actually maybe don't include that. I might be spreading misinformation.
We can fact check that after.
We can fact check that.
Here we are in a game to test what Diego was saying, and I can confirm that this is misinformation being spread by Diego. That Whimsicott is indeed Zoroark. It is named Rad. As you can see, the Whimsicott that has just switched in is also named Rad. I believe we're about to see that. Or I was about to name it. Next, she uses Flamethrower, not super effective.
That did 1,000,000 damage. What the hell?
And now it's Zoroark. Debunked Diego was trying to spread misinformation, but we have successfully stopped him from doing so. Oh, that's neat. That might be a sneak peek towards our next video.
The reason I thought that is because on my end I see it fully as Zoroark, and that's not how it used to be.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And that fucked with me.
And it turns out it apparently fucked with my brother too, because he was telling me you can sometimes tell Zoroark is disguised because it won't copy the gender, so we were testing that as well. But as you can see in the video, the male Zoro did indeed show up as female Whimsicott on my end, so he got by the same thing Diego did. Misinformation debunked.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a great team builder, right? So I steal 90% of my ideas. I stole this from Wolfie, but I think it's uniquely good in a format with these powerful megas and with these powerful support mons, where like people feel like they have to fake out something, they have to answer something immediately. And so a lot of the times, even if they're like suspecting it's Zoroark, they'll still go for it. And you get to weaken your opponent a bit, right? Like Icy Wind has been really good. Like I said, Froslass, like I said, barely slower than a lot of the other megas in the format. One Icy Wind, really good at getting you over that threshold, right? And Zoroark's really good at hitting that Icy Wind. Same thing with like Bitter Malice and Snar. That little bit of chip, that little bit of weakening gets you like just in the right threshold to live a lot of common things. It is just very fast and very good at what it does. And I think it should honestly be more popular than it is. I think this mon is very good, this format.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, one more thing related to Mega Froslass. Just want to highlight the team that Diego himself was using. Once again, as he said, probably not the best team of all time, but, you know.
This is terrible. This is really bad. Like I said, I'm not a good team builder in any sense. But because, again, both Cybertron and Wolfie put out videos with Mega Froslass like this week, I felt like I had to do something unique. And so my original idea started with skill swap on Meowstic male. So the idea was to win the Weather War with a lead that threatened Fake Out 2. So the idea was if, like, say you're up against Zard, right? Zard Y. The turn order would go Froslass first because it's faster than base Zard, right? Because they patched that, by the way. I don't know if we talked about that. They patched the Mega Evolution order. It goes with speed now like it used to, which is great. So how it would go is Froslass Mega first, then Zard, so they would win the Weather War and have Drought up, right? And the idea was to have Meowstic next to it threatening Fake Out, and you would just skill swap. So now Meowstic's Snow Warning would activate, you would win the Weather War just on the spot. In practice, Heat Wave is still strong.
Yeah.
And Mega Froslass with Prankster isn't necessarily really anything good to write home about. But I still liked the idea. And so I kept messing around with this duo, and I ended up on a set with Gravity. Now, like I was saying before, Snow doesn't... You don't need Snow to add to your strength on this team to do more damage. It doesn't work like other weathers in that way. And so Gravity was another way to make your Blizzards 100% accurate. On the flip side of that, again, Zard Heatwave is really strong. It's not a great...
If you Gravity, then Heatwaves also can't miss. So
yes, exactly. But that's what that Aerodactyl is for. We were talking about dual megas earlier, and I think this is a good contender as a secondary mega with Tailwind, because even before Mega-ing, Aerodactyl's really fast. It hits pretty hard. Tailwind and Dual Wing Beat are both very strong moves in this format, I think. This Aerodactyl set is just a patch against every other weather. That is the biggest shortcoming of, I think, Mega Froslass, is that as an individual mon, it is weak to every other weather team right now in this game. You are still weak to Heat Wave from Zard Y. You are weak to Basculegion on Rain teams. You are weak to Dark type coverage on Sand teams from Tyranitar, and Steel moves from Excadrill, which could have Sand Rush and therefore just outspeed you. Incineroar is everywhere and resists every move on Froslass and hits it for super effective damage no matter what moveset it has.
Let's go.
These are all very present and very tough weaknesses. And that like Aerodactyl was just my band-aid over the gunshot wound for.
That's fair.
Same with Sneasler. Sneasler was a King Gambit patch.
Yeah.
This team is very much not good, but I think it just kind of shows you the kind of stuff you can play around with this mon. I think all these are really interesting support for it. I think a better player could honestly do something with at least half of these mons.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Before we head out, I did want to highlight one more Pokemon that is Mega Chicoria, aka Mega Nium, aka Mega Meganium, because as I've stated before on this channel here on Moonlit Gaming, we are the Chicoria gang. I think pretty much all of us picked Chikorita in ZA, right? So we're all
we love Meganium here.
We are Meganium fans. This thing is basically where I think people expected it to be in terms of the pre-champions discussion, which is that it's solid, but maybe not in the best situation. It is helped by the fact that a couple of those matchups people were talking about that it would struggle against aren't in the game yet. So for example, Salamence, not in the game, so we don't have to deal with Mega Salamence. We don't have to deal with Mega Metagross because that is also not in the game. But one big thing is that Weather Ball did indeed work in the way that we were speculating, which is that it is pretty much always a 150 base power coverage move, which is amazing. Solar Beam, ridiculously strong. Dazzling Gleam as another option as well. Synthesis is here. I think generally this choice would be between Synthesis and Gleam here, and you would have Protect. Personally, I favor Gleam for the coverage, but Synthesis is obviously an interesting move on Meganium. The speed tier is a little bit awkward. Base 80, it's not quite slow enough for Trick Room, although it is a decent speed for Tailwind. It's not super fast, it's a little bit awkward. Kind of that mid tier, but I did want to highlight this mon also because it is quite strong. Like I said, you can pair it with Rain to get rid of its fire weakness, as well as Tailwind from Pelipper. You have other Tailwind setters like Talonflame, so just any Tailwind setter to make up for the space 80 speed. I saw someone on Twitter mention you could pair it with Sand as well, because obviously you still get full advantage of these moves even under Sand. And then I have Incineroar and Primarina here because I also think it's probably a solid mon on certain balance teams that you can build, and I just highlighted these two because you could build potentially, maybe not with these mons exactly because the speed tiers are a little bit awkward here, but Water, Fire, Grass Core, I personally like Meganium and Primarina a lot, so those are ideas. And then here, this is a Mega Meganium team that Jason has been using, featuring Perish Trap, that may or may not be turned into a video in the near future. And, you know, Jason, if you want to give a couple of thoughts on this team.
I've low-key been bringing Chicoria like as much as Gengar, depending on the matchup. It's just because, you know, like all the other, like, you know, Salamence and whatever are like just not in the game right now, so it's okay. I've essentially just been using, if it's the Meganium mode, it's just been kind of like, you know, keep Meganium safe kind of deal and just let it shoot moves. And then, you know, of course, you know, Gengar, Perish Trap. My main strategy is Perish, so I'm having fun right now.
Glad someone's having fun. Might not be your
I don't know.
opponents.
Gengar's just so convenient. Like I just been having to deal with Gothitelle for like so long. So it's just nice to have Gengar
Boo,
back.
boo this man.
I mean, I wasn't playing in 2016, but you know.
No, this shit is still heinous today. What do you mean? 10 years later.
Poo. No, but yeah,
I have
that's
Basket Legend. You know, my goat, Basket Legend, as well.
This
I
guy.
fucking hate this
Yeah,
mod,
me
dude.
too.
I need this thing taken out back and shot.
It's so funny because Wolfie was like, "Oh, in Reg H, he was like, oh, I don't like Basque Legend. Like, it doesn't work on the pairs team."
That was
But
like that was
low-key-
Reg H1 to be fair.
Yeah, but low key though, like his HP stats been like kind of saving my ass. Like
This thing is
literally,
so
like, 5 million
bulky.
times.
It's
This thing is so fucking
bulky.
tanky.
Yes.
And it gets to kill everything immediately and outspeed the universe.
Let's go.
Oh,
This is not a
this
Basque
is-
Legion video,
I-
but we are complaining. We are big time complaining.
This,
I will say though,
this shit is a
I'm
second
not
mega. Oh my god. In
Meganium-
rain, this gets mega stat boosts.
Meganium does help against opposing Basque Legions a little bit, right? Because I believe you tank at least one. I imagine you tank at least one Lacer Specs, and then you threaten it
And I
back.
shoot him.
So.
That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not mad. Jacoria's.
Well, also because you're using the thing. Why would you be mad about the thing you're using?
Bro, why would I be mad about the gun? I have a gun.
Exactly. One of my favorite
I-
Basque Legion checks is not in the game currently from back in Reg H, that being Arboliva, so I'm not having a great time, but
and then of course, then
I
it's
wish-
just kind of there. But yeah.
Yeah, I will say I've had Sinistra on a couple versions of teams that I've been bringing to the ladder. Like half the time, it kind of doesn't do anything low key. But like it's honestly still good. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not. It just doesn't do as much as I'd hope.
yeah.
Oh no, I think I would probably replace Sinistra with Whimsicott on this team. Maybe.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, I haven't decided what I want the title of this video to be yet. It might be something like, are these megas underrated, or how to use these underrated mons? So to answer the question for whatever title I ended up coming up with for this video, are these megas underrated? To be honest, if we're talking about Mega Meowstic, no, this thing sucks. But like I said, I did want to highlight the ways that I've been using it to highlight a couple of ideas that maybe can help you guys get started on trying to use it if you really want to. But yeah, probably a low tier mega. Clefable maybe is a little bit underrated, I think. I think there is some utility here. It is not necessarily the greatest mega of all time. You're probably not really going to be picking it over the top tier megas, but it does have some utility. Delphox, I wouldn't say it's underrated because I think people think it's good right now. It is very good. Just want to highlight it because it is a mon that we were excited about. Froslass, is it underrated? It depends, right? I've sort of seen mixed opinions on how good Froslass can be, but
I would say it's pretty rated. Like
Yes.
it's on people's radar, right? Like people know it's strong. I just think there's more potential here to play with sets and teams that could go on. It's an interesting mon.
And then Chicoria, aka Nium, aka Meganium. Same thing. I mean, kind of a boring answer to tell you guys that none of these mons are like super underrated. But I do think Meganium also does have, really the speed tier is a little bit awkward, and defensive typing is not that good. But it does have
just
a
wait for
very,
your
very
turn.
powerful strength. So it is sort of in that mid tier, like you can play it type of thing. And it could be good as I think the other issue with Meganium, I think compared to like a couple of these early megas is if you have Meganium, you have to mega Meganium. Like base Meganium is so bad and so useless that like you're especially with the moveset that you would be running, right? Like Weather Ball, Solar Beam. You're not clicking these moves if you don't mega. Unless you have a weather team, then maybe Weather Ball's like okay, right? But like Solar Beam is useless if you don't mega, right? Unless you're playing on a Sun team. And Gleam is not even stab if you don't mega. So, you do kind of have to build a team around Nium a little bit, as opposed to, a couple of these mons where maybe you could like throw on a Mega Stone as like an afterthought type of thing. But once again, these are the megas we are, for whatever reason, design-wise, gameplay-wise, that we are looking forward to using. And so we just want to shed a little bit of light on potential ways to use them if you yourself wanted to use them. Like I said, these are not necessarily the best megas, but these are the megas that are dear to our heart. So we wanted to give them some shine and hopefully give you guys some ideas to give them some shine as well. But yeah, that's all for this time. Look forward to more Pokemon Champions content. We will be having gameplay videos with at least some of these megas as well. So until next time.
Not for me. I'm sticking to Mega Floette.
Huh?
That shit is powerful. That is a hydrogen bomb.